time for World Edition on definitely September 18th, 2025. And of course, a lot of things are going on in the world, and we'll be talking about those here on the network and seeing what folks have to say about a number of these stories and how it is impacting them or not impacting them, and all along those lines. But definitely a lot is taking place as usual. And of course, here on Pod TV, we're always glad to cover these stories and see what folks have to say about them. Don't be afraid to put in your comments and let us know your thoughts on about a variety of these issues that are out there and all along those lines. Definitely looking forward to hearing from one of our people because he's actually got connections to one of these news stories and all along those lines. But definitely we'll see how this all plays out and what people have to say about a variety of these news stories that are out there and all along those lines. We know that there is definitely continuing conversations about what's going on with the wars that are going on, whether it's in Ukraine or whether it's in uh, some of the African nations or whether it's in places like the Middle East and a number of other places as well. So, like I said, a lot's going on in the world. And of course, we're always glad to cover that here on Pod TV and, of course, World Edition as well. But definitely, Israel ground invasion traps hundreds of thousands in Gaza City. There are satellite images showing mass evacuations from northern Gaza amid the Israeli ground attack and everything like that. So Gaza has been hit by telecom blackout as Israeli tanks and infantry advance. And French Union is striking against austerity and pressuring Macron. Anti-austerity strikes and protests grip France. Disruptions to transport and tourist sites. What to expect from France's September 18th strike, which will be, of course, today. Strikes and protests are definitely impacting France and pitting the streets against Macron and his new prime minister. Machu Picchu is at risk of losing its credibility as one of the new seven wonders of the world. Rocks on train tracks strand 900 Machu Picchu tourists amid protests. Demonstration alert, protests regarding Machu Picchu bus contract, and definitely that's something going on as well. The mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, describes Gaza's genocide situation as a genocide. For the first time, Bernie Sanders is calling the Israelis' war in Gaza a genocide, and definitely that is something that folks are talking about as well. As the rift is growing between Netanyahu and his security chiefs, Israel's social rift is an existential threat, and the Mideast wars are refusing to fight, is what the HeraldReview.com is saying. Israeli soldiers and their mothers increasingly reject calls to return to Gaza. Threatened by Trump, Canada tries to make up and team up with Mexico. So Carney and Sheinbaum had a meeting, and we'll see how this all goes on. So that was at a North American summit taking place without the U.S. Canada's Carney headed to Mexico to discuss trade before a review of their U.S. trade deal. So they're talking in all of those lines and trying to figure out how to deal with Trump and what he's got going on with his tariffs. Israeli fighter jets launched ballistic missiles from the Red Sea in Qatar strike, officials say. Leading Hamas officials make first comment since Israeli attack in Qatar. Senior Hamas officials make a first appearance since surviving Israeli strike in Qatar. And definitely some people, including those at the Jerusalem Post, are asking why Hamas leader Gaza Hamad chose to reappear now. And UK police make arrests for spying as Lithuanian prosecutors target Russian-linked arson network. Three arrested on suspicion of spying for Russia. So definitely that's something going on as a Russia-backed network behind the detonating parcels in Europe, Lithuania says. So that's something that people are talking about as well. And Russia gives Ukrainian kids military training and re-education. So Russia subjected abducted Ukrainian children to forced militarization at 210 facilities, is what one study is finding. And the EU needs deals with India, others to reduce U.S. dependency, von der Leyen is saying. So definitely looks like the EU's new strategy is to lower India away from Russia's orbit. Russian oil purchases an issue, and EU's Katja Kallas says partnership with India not only about trade. So that is definitely something that folks are talking about as well. And Trump to return to the United Nations as Gaza and Ukraine conflicts rage on. So, United Nations Secretary General holds press conference a couple of days ago, and we'll see what happens when Trump has his conversation as well. And 82% of polls reject Trump's claim that Russian drone incursion was accidental, polls are saying. Polish missiles likely hit house during Russian drone incursion, according to the minister. And some people, like I said in other stories, are asking for a no-fly zone over Poland and actually over Ukraine and all along those lines. And the Taliban orders ban on internet in northern Afghanistan to prevent immoral activities. So internet shutdown is part of Afghanistan amid talks of a crackdown. Taliban leaders are banning Wi-Fi in Afghan province to prevent immorality. And that's definitely some of the things that are going on in the world. And the Australia and Papua New Guinea have signed a communique after a mutual defense treaty stalls. So Australia's failure of diplomacy in PNG, according to The Guardian, shows we can't and won't understand our Pacific neighbors. So it looks like there's been a delay in the defense pact as China's rise in Pacific region is looming. So we'll see how this all plays out as all well. But Saudi Arabia and nuclear-armed Pakistan did sign a mutual defense pact. So definitely they're saying that this Saudi Arabia-Pakistan defense pact reshapes the region's geopolitics. So they signed that mutual defense pact as Gulf Arab states grow wary of U.S. security guarantees. And Tiffany's Trump family cruised the Mediterranean on an oil mogul's yacht. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. And the prime suspect in the Madeleine McCann case, Christian Bruckner, was released from prison, but has refused interviews with the UK police a few days ago. So we'll see how this all plays out in terms of news from the courts and all in that way. And the first migrant deported to France under new returns deals. So Shabani Mohammad accuses asylum seekers of making virtuous last-minute claims. So Britain says first migrant returned to France under one-in, one-out deal. So we'll see how this all plays out as well. And Denmark to buy long-range weapons in a paradigm shift. So Denmark to buy long-range weapons amid a Russia paradigm shift. And we'll see how this goes as well. So that's some of the things in terms of world news. Let's get to just a couple of things in the United States, and then I'll bring in my folks that are with me and see what they've got to say as well. House Democrats are fuming about a vote to honor Charlie Kirk. We're being totally set up and all along those lines. And so that is something that is going on as well. You know, it's interesting talking about people about political things and all along those lines. I had the pleasure of going to an outside concert yesterday and was talking to the performer, Ashley D.R. Brown, and everything like that. And she was telling me that she's actually going to be doing an event in D.C. because she's from D.C. on, I believe, the 29th. But it's going to be in about a week or two. But it's going to be trying to get living wages, and it's going to be an attachment to an existing bill for musicians. So that is something that is going to be on the Congress docket and that she is fighting for. So just like they were trying to get living wages for cafeteria workers, there's a bill to try to get living wages for musicians as well. And that's going to be in front of one of the congressional bills. And like I said, it's one of those attached documents that hopefully can get passed and can help people get some pay. So we'll see how this all plays out. Pennsylvania police shooting. That was reported yesterday, and folks are asking what's going on in that case. Trail cam captures a man with an AR-15 at Farm Day before the deadly police shooting, according to documents that have been reported about that. And the shooting left 3 officers dead and 2 wounded, and that was from yesterday. An immigration judge orders the deportation of Muhammad Khalil to Syria or Algeria. So that is something that folks are talking about. And amidst the Republican crackdown on D.C., city leaders will be testifying about what's going on in that area. And Democrats have released their own funding proposal as government shutdown looms. Republican leaders reject Democratic health care demands for the bill to avoid the shutdown. So, and Trump and UK's Keir Starmer to give a news conference after signing a tech deal. So, looks like President will meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer during the UK visit, and definitely we'll see how this all goes as well. So, a lot's going on in that sense and around that world. And Epic Universe visitor dies after riding a roller coaster at Florida park. So man dies after becoming unresponsive on the Stardust Racers roller coaster at Epic University at Epic Universe. So that is something that folks are talking about as well. And a military helicopter crashed near a base in Washington State, according to what officials are saying. So that was near the Joint Base Lewis McChord. So definitely that is something that was some sad news from earlier today. An FBI director says he never spoken to Trump about the Epstein files. Trump team finds someone to throw under the bus on Epstein, and Kash Patel calls BS on Swalwell in heated exchange over the Epstein files. And Mississippi police are awaiting an autopsy result for a black student that was found hung on a university in that particular state. Mississippi University student found hung on campus with no signs of foul play, but the family is raising questions after the student was found hanging from a tree on the school campus, and they've hired the lawyer Ben Crump. So we'll see how this all plays out as well. So, and some people are asking whether even on BDJ, which I believe is a station in the Tennessee area, whether they agree with Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard to Memphis. So Trump is deploying the National Guard to Memphis, and we'll see how this plays out also. So like I said, a lot's going on in the world, including, as I said earlier, this whole notion, and that's why I'm going to bring in my people and see what they've got to say about a number of these stories and all along those lines. And the first story I'm going to bring up is Rick Rosner, because I know there's been a lot of conversation about your former boss being canceled and everything.
He's not canceled. He's suspended. And for comments about Charlie Kirk, except that he didn't say anything bad about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I watched the clip. All he said was that he made this comment about the folks that supported Charlie Kirk, the MAGA gang, and all along those lines. And he did make a comment about, and there was no doubt about it because Trump made the comment himself about all the construction work that was being done.
He showed a clip of Trump talking to the press on the lawn of the White House, and a reporter asked him, "Well, how are you feeling now about the death of your friend Charlie Kirk?" And Trump says, "I'm fine. Let's talk about my ballroom." And it was a really abrupt and the way he blew off, and so he just showed that clip. It's ridiculous. He got canceled or suspended for nothing because the affiliates, Nexstar and Sinclair affiliate stations, said they were going to pull him.
But apparently a lot of this had to do with the way that Trump tries to influence people, whether it's
Also, the FCC, in an interview on a guy named Benny Johnson's podcast, said that ABC could be in trouble, which goes against what the same guy has said earlier about freedom of expression. Right. But now that he's working for Trump, he's changed his tune. So I'm sure negotiations are going on right now to get Kimmel back on the air. Sinclair, the owner of 32 affiliate stations that broadcast ABC, says he has to apologize and he has to give money to Charlie Kirk's organization. So I'm sure Jimmy will probably give money somewhere. I'm guessing that the money he'll give $1 million someplace. I assume he's negotiating to not give it to Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's organization, that he will give it to some religious organization or some other charity, but not directly to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, that makes sense, and I can see that and everything. Hey, Sasha, you follow a lot around international politics in the international world, not just in Ukraine and Russia, but Israel and even in France and everything. But I was wondering if you were hearing anything directly about this anti-austerity strikes and protests that apparently are taking over France, and what your thoughts are on these, because apparently they are Macron against his and his new prime minister against some of the protesters. But I was just wondering if you were following this story at all.
So, Mark, explain to me who is protesting and against what?
It looks like the French unions are striking against austerity. So it looks like the unions are protesting in France, and they are upset. And so there's strikes that are going on in the country of France.
They are upset about what?
I'll have to do some more research. That's why I was asking if you had or Rick had done any further research on this particular story. I did see it was another news story that was coming out of the European theater, so that's why I was asking if you had done any.
I don't follow the French politics, but a little bit interesting thing about the Kimmel suspension. I was just about half an hour ago. There was interview with ABC, his chair or some highly guarded post, and he said very contradictory thing about Kimmel. So he says that Kimmel's show, the each station or stations of ABC carrying this program, they have to adhere to the wishes of their audience. So he is implying that the Kimmel show was not up to interests of their audience. Possible? Yes. However, 2 minutes before that, he said that the show financially were very successful. So how two can exist together? Financially successful show, yet it doesn't appeal to ABC's audience. Rick, do you have any explanation to that?
Yes, Sinclair, which I think ABC has, I think, roughly 200 affiliates that broadcast ABC content. That is, ABC is not the broadcaster that provides for local markets, and it goes through local station owners, and out of 200 of them, about 1/6 belong to Sinclair. Sinclair is a conservative organization that is known for making its local news reporters all make the same editorials, conservative editorials. They are very kind of they're super Christian in a Trumpy way, kind of anti-freedom of speech. And they said they were going to, pull out. They weren't going to broadcast Kimmel until he apologizes. So it wasn't that the viewers in local markets complained about, because he didn't say anything to complain about. It's that Sinclair threatened to not broadcast the show, which would be a financial hit.
So, Rick, you know what? In that respect, today's United States are moving into the model of Soviet Union, and not even Brezhnev's time, but Stalin's time, when everything had to be uniformed, confirming the party line and so on. So today we can see it's going from entertainment, it's going into high tech. Look at this deal between Intel and NVIDIA. So Intel, 10% of Intel belongs to US government. So it's obvious that in all competition, which is healthy for chip manufacturers, but all deals will be now skewed into Intel favor, because US government, including Donald Trump himself, they own 10% of Intel. So look at the genius of Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, recognizing that now everything comes down from US, Trump, US government, Intel, and then all the other chip makers. And he can do with these chip makers anything what they want. He can insist that they have to bring manufacturers into the United States. They must do this and that. So NVIDIA, for a mere of $5 billion, for NVIDIA is really nothing. It's less than, for me, $5, for example. It's nothing. So they bought the graces of Intel, but more important, US government, and even more important, Trump himself. So NVIDIA is now becoming a partner of Trump, not because they love Trump, because they understand that for their shareholders and the company as overall is much better deal to side with Trump, regardless how crazy it might be or so on. But at least for the next 3.5 years, they have a license to operate normally without any hurdles from U.S. governments.
Speaking of operating without any hurdles and everything, and this is for you, Sasha, I did see that Canada's prime minister was going down to meet with the Mexican leader, and I guess they're going to try to work on some trade deals that will not be involving the U.S. because of the threat of heavy tariffs on both of their countries. So I just wondered what you thought about this meeting between Sheinbaum and Carney. So it does look like they're having that meeting this week and everything like that. So they're trying to they're calling it the North American Summit, but they are not having the United States involved.
Well, that's wonderful news. It shows that they understand now the real threat of Trump and his policies. So now, well, Canada doing that for a long time now. It's building new trade bridges between Asian countries and Europeans, and exclude United States from any of these deals. So now they are going to do the same with Mexico. And if Mexico and Canada will stop supplying U.S. Auto manufacturers, that will be the end of American auto industry as we know it. And one of the strategy what I'm doing as an investment is concerned, I'm I'm buying puts, March puts on General Motors. I don't believe that this company will be able to do anything substantial, including all competitions that there is, and maybe even more competition will be there in the near future.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Dr. Sharif, glad to see that you're here with us. We were actually, some of you were going to be here yesterday because I noticed that there was a lot of youth uprising in Bangladesh, Nepal, and other places. So I just wanted, since you work with a lot of students, your thoughts around this because it seems like they're becoming more politically active in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, if you see that emerging economy, their major strength actually come from young populations. I told that around 60% populations of Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Maldives, even Afghanistan, even in China, you can see that they are youth, they are young, those who are under 30 years old. And another important factors actually how they connected through technology, through social media. They have a big passion for artificial intelligence, about new technologies, new policy, and they can understand the Western world. That's why they are big fan of democracy. They are big fan of transparency. What is absent in the old passionate political system? Let's say the previous political persons, they don't have enough transparency, they don't have enough political futuristic policy, and they are not serving well for their country. For that particular issues, I believe three rising things. Number one, economic empowerment. Number two, the demographic issues and what I say, these youth populations. And number three, technology like social media, AI, and all of the things. That's why people are more connected. That is the particular issues the young populations uh, taking the responsibilities, they involve in politics, they involve in business, and they want to involve in geopolitical issues. Besides that, uh, like USA, maybe they are good ally for Bangladesh or Nepal or India, and hopefully we can see the new constitutional reformations or governmental institutional reformations, and through this process our country based corruptions and all of the things will overcome. But we need to work together with the global north and global south to solve this challenging situation. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all and everything. Hey, Rick, well, a couple of things. One, just to let you and Sasha know, since I did bring it up earlier, apparently, and we do try to cover various parts of the world, France is bracing for nationwide disruption as unions are launching mass strikes to protest against the government proposals in that country for budget cuts. And so it's like a lot of countries around the world, they're trying to tighten their belt. So they've got walkouts by teachers, health workers, transport staff, among others, on Thursday, which is expected to paralyze parts of the country.
Well, yeah, France is set up for strikes to shut the country down. They do this a lot, probably an average of once a year. And okay, I mean, so it happened. It's not that big a deal. They'll have strikes. They'll get some concessions.
That makes sense. They'll get the concessions, and they'll get them hopefully for some of these people in the medical fields and the teachers and everything like that. You know, I was looking on our emails, the chains and everything along those lines, and there was a question that Kim raised, and you know, I'm not beyond writing letters to different people and seeing if they're available or not available, but you have a direct contact. What's the chances we can get Jimmy Kimmel on this network?
Zero.
Zero.
I'll tell you this, and maybe I'm saying too much, but when he first got the show, it's that job of being a late night host is a tough job. You're working to make a good show 14 hours a day. You know that you're getting hundreds of emails a day. You're in charge of. I mean, I think Kimmel will negotiate. Will be back on ABC within a week or two, because he employs between 120 and 200 people, and he will keep the show going and get it back on the air for the sake of those people and their families. You know, he loves his people, and he's not going to let some affiliates, you know, take down the show. But,
yeah, I think
but he also said
he meant it as a guest.
When he first started doing the show, he said, you know, I'll do this for about 20 years, and then that's enough. But he's already been going for 22 and a half years. So he, at some point in the next few years, may decide to hang it up, because he and you know, enjoy life.
I can see that in everything.
But he's not. I don't believe, and I'm just speaking for myself, and I don't have any official knowledge. I don't believe he will allow himself to be driven off the air for saying nothing. He said nothing bad about Charlie Kirk, and the people who are yelling that he did, the MAGAs, are never even watched the clip. So.
Yeah,
Anika, do you rule out that maybe somebody else, maybe even CNN, will offer him competitive?
Yeah, but as I said, he's been doing this forever, and financially, I'm sure he's very well off.
Oh yeah,
and like he might do something, you know, in the next few years. Again, I'm just speaking for myself. I have no inside knowledge. My wife is even yelling at me to, like, don't talk about it. But that if he did do something, it might be like Jon Stewart or Letterman, where they retired and then they came back in a much more limited capacity, where Letterman went from doing a show 4 days a week to doing a series of maybe a dozen interviews a year. You know, and Jon Stewart left The Daily Show, which going by the name, it's an everyday show, to doing a show that was weekly, and now he's back on The Daily Show, but only 1 day a week. So, you know, maybe he'll at some point, you know, cut back.
Yeah,
well, I think that with his popularity ratings or so on, I don't see him retiring at all. I see him coming back in some capacity here. Where and on what conditions
Yeah, like ABC likes him. They support him. They just got pushed into a corner by their affiliates. You know, they have him host Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on that show, on that network. And, you know, so he could do that. I mean, he can still do anything. He'll have to eat some shit. Unnecessary for both. He'll have to. Sinclair says for them to accept him back on the air, he has to give money to Charlie Kirk.
And if he says no, go away, and then what? He can afford it financially for sure, and he says no, I haven't not said anything negative about Kirk or his family or so on. So go and fuck yourself.
That's possible that this stalemate could continue for a while.
Well,
And
speaking of
okay,
stalemates, I want to get back to some of the world news and everything, but this is in your neck of the woods, and it's two stories, Sasha, and everything. And one of them, Dr. Sharif may have some thoughts about it as well. But are we going to be able to get India away from Russia's orbit? Because apparently that's what the EU is trying to do. And I know there was that whole BRICS discussion, and they are part of BRICS, but apparently there's an effort to try to pull them into the Western orbit and less in from the BRICS orbit and everything like that. So, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is something that the EU president is pushing. Is this need to get good, solid deals with India so that they are more our ally than anybody else's?
well, they have chance to succeed if they will completely exclude United States and Trump from the equation. So if that would be completely out and it will be some kind of agreement between Europe and India, possible. But Trump is pushing European Union actually to impose 50, if not 100% sanctions against India. So how Europeans can be friends with Trump and at the same time friends with India by imposing 50 or 100% tariffs? I don't believe that's possible. And if they don't, then Trump will be upset at Europe and will be threatening this and that and so on. So while Trump is, at least until midterm elections, there is no normalcy in this world, and it's all crazy, and you have to just bide your time and just wait until midterm elections.
That makes sense. Hey, Sasha, along those same lines and everything, there was those Russian drones that went into Poland, and apparently Trump tried to say that that was an accidental mission, and 82% of polls are rejecting Trump's claim that it was accidental. So, do you think that the Russians intentionally went into Poland, or do you think that Trump is right and that it was some sort of accident?
Not only that they did it on purpose, it was encouraged by United States. Here is what's the problem with Europe from Trump's point of view. The reason why Ukraine is still fighting and wouldn't capitulate because Europeans are helping them financially and with weapons and so on. So, how to make Europeans abandon the help to Ukraine? Very simple. If Russia will continue this absurd attacks by drones to Poland, maybe to Germany, Baltic states, Romania, Moldavia, many other countries in Europe. It is part of the hybrid war. It's not a direct attack against NATO. It's just, you can call it inconvenience. You can call it provocation. It just doesn't matter how you call it. But it will send a message that, well, look, Europeans, you're nice people. But here is your choice. Either you stop providing any help to Ukraine right now, or we will continue our attacks against you in several directions. Some of the attacks could be quite serious. Some of the attacks could be very threatening, but that's your choice. You can stop all these attacks at once and continue to live your life and enjoying cappuccino and having life. What's your choice? You wanna bother with us? You know how we fight. You know what we did with Ukrainians. We're gonna do the same with you. It's your choice. That's where we are.
That makes sense. Hey, Rick, what else are you seeing in the news? I did see one of your favorite topics in the news, but in a very unusual way, and it actually comes from New Zealand. Because I know a lot of times on this show, both you and Jacoby talk about AI, but apparently New Zealand is turning to AI and genetic research in order to save some small birds. Apparently, it's one of the largest conservation projects that have been in the world.
Okay, I'm not familiar with the story, but
Along those lines, but they are definitely using it as for what they and everything about AI the environmental realms.
So, I mean, AI
Toby's joining us.
AI will revolutionize medicine. Before AI kills us, it will
Right.
make us a lot healthier by making it easier to make a ton of new medical discoveries.
Yep, definitely will do that and everything like that. And apparently that's what it's doing. So to give native birds a chance, New Zealand plans to eliminate invasive predators. So they're using AI for that reason and other reasons as well. So, but it's not cheap because apparently it's going to cost them about $100 million per year. But they're looking at the new technology and other things to help into this research and everything. But
Okay. Here's Jatovi.
Toby, where you at?
What's up?
Not much. You're not at your home office. It doesn't look like you're out and about.
Yeah, working on a computer.
Gotcha.
I had to work on a computer at somebody's house. I'm guessing I missed the discussion about the freedom of speech now being attacked.
Go for it. We were talking about with Jimmy Kimmel, which of course is what one of the places that Rick has worked for, but we know there are other attacks as well. So
we haven't talked about the First Amendment yet, really. We were talking more about the specifics of the situation.
Right.
I mean, the specifics are straightforward and simple. The FCC chairman made a threat to ABC, and Nexstar has a merger in front of the FCC chairman. Nexstar said that it was going to pull all ABC show or pull Kimmel and the ABC shows because of it after he makes this threat. And ABC then pulls Jimmy Kimmel. It's straightforward. It's a direct attack on freedom of speech and freedom of the press.
There are two affiliate groups. There's Nexstar, and I'm not sure if it overlaps with Sinclair. Sinclair are the conservative affiliates. And yeah, Nexstar wants to merge with some other group of local affiliates that's in front of the FCC. And it's another corporate decision. And, people are pissed at ABC for bowing down to this pressure. But they were kind of put in a corner.
I mean, in all honesty, business-wise, yes, ABC is going to pull that because, again, the sad part is they should not, because when you give a bully just a little bit, he's going to continue to want more. And that's what's going to happen next, because he's already said he's going after NBC now. So now NBC is going to kowtow, and Seth, all the other late night shows that he disagrees with are going to be pulled.
He wants Fallon gone.
Yep.
Which is ridiculous, because Fallon is the most, is not everybody tells jokes about Trump in late night because Trump does a bunch of stuff that you can joke about. But Fallon is the most innocuous, plus Kimmel's comments were innocuous, but he wants Fallon gone. And Seth Meyers, he wants him.
Yeah, he wants Seth Meyers.
So and then they're also talking about anybody who says anything towards Trump. So right now, the freedom of the press is no longer freedom of the press. Freedom of speech is no longer freedom of speech. They never cared about freedom of speech as much as they wanted to argue and yell and, hey, I want freedom of speech. It was never about freedom of speech.
Yeah, never about that. Speaking of which, Rick, what is your take on, because part of it was this whole notion, he's the one who's trying to build it, and it's supposed to be expensive. He says that the White House has been wanting it for 150 years, meaning Trump. I don't remember any other president that had wanted a massive ballroom.
No, it's crazy bullshit, and it's also an opportunity for graft. That
Right.
ballroom is going to cost $200 million, according to Trump, and now he's been saying $250 million. That is the cost per square foot is 4 times the average cost of building a government building in Washington, D.C. So he says he's going to build it through private donations. So people and companies and governments, foreign governments, who want to, curry favor with Trump will donate money to this construction, and some of it is going to go in Trump's pocket. Tens of millions of bucks will end up going to Trump himself.
Yep, there's definitely going to be that going on. A lot of that money's going to
Look,
go
you
to
can't
Trump.
launder money unless you have a business to run the money through. And this ballroom is like the car wash on Breaking Bad, where Walter White was making a ton of money through drugs. So he bought the car wash he used to work at, and ran the money through the car wash to try to make it look like legitimate income. That is Trump's ballroom. It's going to help him launder money.
Yep, that's definitely going to be the case. Lots of money laundering going on and everything like that. Because I guess we have our own versions of all, the rich folks, just like Russia does, the oligarchs. So maybe we got our own version of oligarchs here in the United States, and they're the ones that are controlling the government right now. So it's after you.
Well, the wealth of Trump and the rest of his family has gone up $5 billion this year because Trump and his kids are involved in half a dozen crypto schemes. And this is another way for people to bribe Trump. They say, we're starting a crypto coin in your name and you get 20% of it. And then the suckers pile in, and the value of the crypto coin, the meme coin, whatever, goes up to some huge amount. So on paper, through all these crypto schemes, Trump and his kids, $5 billion. However, once you start selling those coins, converting them into real money, the value collapses. So Trump and his kids won't be able to get $5 billion out. Maybe they'll get a few $100 million out as the coins collapse.
Well, they will be first ones to sell. That's how they will get their money.
It's pump and dump. Or also, there's so many names for it: Ponzi scheme, rug pull, where you get in there and you say, this is a great thing. You already own it. You bought it early. And then you get in there and you say, this is the great new Trump coin. Its value is going to infinity. And then the suckers pile in and drive the price up, and then you sell, and then the suckers are left with nothing.
Well, speaking of suckers and everything like that, do they really care in England and other places? Like I said, I've not done enough international travel, but you have, Rick, and I know you have, Sasha, and even you, Jacoby, if you don't follow their rules and everything. Because apparently one of the other stories involving the Trumps is that Melania Trump failed to curtsy, and I think you're supposed to curtsy when you go.
Every time this is Trump's, I think, second royal visit. The first time he was disrespectful. When you walk with the Queen, you're supposed to walk next to the Queen. Right. Trump, an idiot, walks in front of her. She's an old lady. At the time he visited, she was probably in her 80s. And Trump's like, do. And he did it again to the king on his second trip. And this time he had to know what he was doing, that he was being a dick. They were reviewing the troops, the beefeaters lined up. And he walks in front of the king again. And he was just being a jackass.
Well, he started conversation with one of these soldiers, and he stopped, and King Charles just patted him in the back. Keep moving, idiot. And so he started to move.
Yeah, he's showing that he doesn't have to bow down to kings, that he's better than the king.
Well, you see, he's made his foreign policy based on dealing with people like Putin, Emperor Xi, this North Korean Moon Jae-in, and this type of people. So, because with them, he feels like he is a king in himself. Compared to all this, now when he was elevated to a real monarchy, he understand what an idiot he is, and maybe that will put him back into arms of Emperor Xi and Putin and all those others dignitaries involved.
Yep. And apparently the Trumps are enjoying all kinds of perks, because one of the stories I saw in the New York Times was that Tiffany Trump got to cruise on an oil mogul's yacht as her father-in-law talked oil deals, because that's part of what his job is. Mesa de Bolas is definitely the father-in-law of President Trump's daughter, Tiffany. So I guess they're trying to work on an oil deal and everything like that. And of course, he's over there using his connections, much like they did with the Qatar plane and everything. So maybe this is a perk that you get toward being the president's family, and you get to travel in all these expensive ways and everything like that. So what's your take on this, Rick? Because it looks like the yacht was a floating palace with 2 helipads and swimming pool.
Yeah, they just do whatever they want. It's fine. Tiffany was one of the better Trump kids. She's Marla Maples' daughter, his second wife, and she was Trump didn't like her as much as his other kids. She was kind of pushed away from all the Trump bullshit, which was to her benefit, really, because to not be, but she's been drawn back in.
Right. She's definitely been drawn back into the family, and now drawn back into these different connections, including with her husband and all along those lines. So yeah, we're going to see how this all plays out, because he does love having a lot of nepotism.
But if you were a Trump kid, you'd do the same thing too. If people are offering you hundreds of millions of dollars to hang with them, and maybe because you might be able to talk with your dad, that would be impossible to resist.
Well, speaking of impossible to resist, and I know that Nick and Kim talk about education with this particular network and everything, and apparently the Trump administration is reinstating a more difficult citizenship test. So it contains more complex questions.
Okay, so a test that Trump himself could not pass in a million years. There's this point I want to bring up, which I keep forgetting, which is both Kimmel and Colbert are super Christian. Not, get on their knees and pray to God Christian, but they're both super good Catholics. And they're certainly both better Christians than Trump. And so MAGA would support their values if it weren't that they told jokes about their guy.
So just to point out, we're still missing some of the other things. The designation of an idea, and it's not even an actual organization, but the designation of an idea as a terrorist organization now allows him to designate whoever he wants as a terrorist.
So Trump and Bondi say they're going after Antifa as if it's an organization. Antifa isn't an organization, it's an adjective. It's like going after the color red. It's when you say you're Antifa, which some young idiots do, that's short for anti-fascist. You're saying, yeah, I'm anti-fascist. It's not an organization. There's no Antifa club. It's not a thing. So it's more bullshit.
Well, it's not. The thing is, we have to understand these things that he's doing. As much as it sounds stupid, there's a thread, there's a throughway, and he's already said who he's going next after. He's going to go attack NBC and everything else. Something else is going to happen, and he's going to use that in the same fashion. He's already using the Charlie Kirk murder or assassination to go after whoever else. But again, this whole designation of an idea to attack. He's already said that the Democrat Party was a group of radicals this and radicals that. Who in the Democrat Party is he next going to go after? This is all about silencing others. That's all this is. He's already gone past due process, and people cheered him on for that. He's already gone past due process and killing people in the ocean. People cheered him on for that. People are cheering him on for squashing the First Amendment by going after Colbert and now Kimmel and who's next. Now he can designate people as terrorists. What's next? I mean, we're not even a year in, and this is all happening.
I think this
Are we all crying because Rick Rosner's boss got fired?
That's dumb, Rick. That's dumb, Nick. That's a dumb comment.
I do want to.
Nick, that's a dumb comment.
Left right now.
Nick, stop. Nick, here, let's do this, Nick, and we're gonna play this game because you like to play this stupid game. Nick, we're gonna play this game because you like to play this stupid game. We're gonna go down this road, and this is how idiotic you are as a lawyer because of what you're just saying. So you're against the First Amendment. Are you for or against the First Amendment?
Well, you're against it.
Are you for or against the First Amendment? Simple question. I don't need all the gaslighting and everything else. Answer the question. Are you for or against the First Amendment?
Super pro First Amendment.
So then your argument saying crying this and crying that, then are you against what happened to Jimmy Kimmel?
Just like Shaquille says.
Are you? I don't care what Shaq says. He can come over here and say it himself.
May I speak?
Nick?
May I speak?
Yes.
All right.
Please.
So they just took all of my content down and deleted all of my accounts on YouTube for uploading the video where Trump was instructing people how to take a gun, aim it at someone's face, and shoot. I mean, these were Trump's words. And I also uploaded some of Charlie's videos, just small clips of his videos on one of my accounts. They, I guess, associated me with Pod TV, so they've deleted Pod TV. They've deleted YouTube has deleted all of our accounts. Google is now deleting all of my accounts as well. So I have several accounts and business accounts with Google, and they're taking all of my stuff down. No negotiations, nothing. And all I did was just upload real videos, not AI videos. These are real videos of what these people said. That's all I did. And I did make a comment of, does this sound appropriate to you? But freedom of speech has been stripped. They're going to go after anyone they deem a threat. I don't know why I'm deemed a threat, except that I have reviewed the Epstein files, and they are real. We found them in a different way, but they are what the federal government used. They were a bunch of private lawsuits that in the same realm were allowed to access federal government evidence to prove their case, because it's less work on the courts to be able to do that. So the data has always existed out there, and I have read it, and I'm going to expose all the names because not every name got redacted if you read all the data. But I'm still not a threat to them because I'm a nobody. But they have deleted, and they're working on deleting all my stuff. They haven't deleted StreamYard yet. And I still have access to this one account to get me into StreamYard. But I'm going to go ahead and work on opening up my own social media platforms and move them, through somewhere else. But I am shocked that they have been so aggressive on little old me, just a little old blonde hair girl in the South. But this is what they're going to do to anyone. And it's a fear tactic, but it's more about their fear of being exposed for who they really are. And that's all the little video clips I did, was expose their real truth and their real mouths and who they really are. But I'm being deleted as we speak. You know what? It might be for the best thing for me, because maybe I'll just go on and do what I am planned on doing and move to another country. The freedom of speech is gone with Trump. But Charlie knew this too. I just want people to know that was one of the videos I posted. Was Charlie was told to fall in line, ordered by Trump to fall in line and shut up about the Epstein files. And Charlie did a very defiant video back in Trump's face, because, Charlie's a big guy now. He's not going to be told what to do by his, teacher. And he was the teacher's pet. But Charlie was very defiant. And then I started looking at his tour, his recent tour. He wasn't really going to shut up. He did a video saying, yeah, I'm going to shut up, but you're going to do what you're supposed to do. And they weren't doing it. And he got mad. So now Charlie's not doing his TV shows anymore. JD Vance is doing it for him. He got shut up. And so all of this is fear tactics, same fear tactics Hitler used to shut people up and to run a country. And you know what? I think MAGA people want this. And the reason is they want to be able to break laws and do whatever they want to and get away with them. But what they don't understand is that's not going to happen with Trump, that they're going to fall in line too. So sad, very sad.
It's very sad, and citizenship tests have been around for a while, and apparently that's what we're doing again, because that's one of the things that they were.
Well, you have to become a naturalized citizen. You have to take a test on knowledge of the U.S. government, and I assume some things about culture and history. And yeah, they're just making it a tougher test, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, they said that instead of getting 12 out of 20 correct instead of 6 out of 10. So it used to be 60, now to be, well, actually, that's still about the same amount. They just added some extra questions. But among the questions are, why did the United States enter the Vietnam War? And the correct answer is supposed to be to stop the spread of communism. Another question on the test is, who does a U.S. Senator represent? Previously, the answer had been all people of the state. On the test introduced in December of 2020, it was citizens in the United States. So yeah, they've got different, like you said, tests around culture and government and things along those lines. But yeah, we're going to see how this all plays out. They have 2 chances to pass the test, and they before they got to restart the application process from scratch. So we'll see how this all works out and whether that goes on in that system.
And this is
Trump couldn't pass that test, could he?
No, this is after you've lived in the U.S. for an average of 10 years. By the time you have a chance to become a citizen, you've already been in the U.S. for a long time. And yeah, people should know about their government, but it's a little crazy when our president could not pass the citizenship test.
Yeah, he probably can pass it. And apparently that our other good buddy RFK is in the news, because apparently he's got a vaccine committee that's going to vote for recommendations for hepatitis B and the COVID shot. So an influential federal committee that recommends vaccine policies for Americans is set to meet on Thursday and Friday to review important immunizations that have long been in use. So we're going to see how this plays out.
Just real quick, did y'all cover the news about the 2 men that were found hanging in trees?
In Mississippi?
Monday? Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned that on the news stories. I didn't really talk about it on our conversation, but yeah, they were 2 students, or at least one I think was a student. But yeah, the one
was homeless. The other man was homeless. They just identified him, but this seems to fall right in line with what they said on the news the other morning, that when that guy got on there and said, and they didn't fire him, but he said, let's execute all homeless people. Kill them all. He said that, and they didn't fire his butt, but they'll fire somebody, a comedian, not a newscaster, but a comedian who just makes light of how the Republicans acted so stupid by demonizing Democrats.
I'm sorry, I'm late. Kimberly, I owe you a text. I'm sorry. I've been traveling. We will follow back up with you. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're better. I was coming back from DC, and there was a delay in the flight landing, so I couldn't get online until now. But I'll be back in a couple of days. Real quickly, I guess the big news that no one's really talking about is Kash Patel as well. Looks like he may be fired as the FBI director, and that's kind of bad for the Indian community. I think people are kind of just upset. He wasn't really qualified. It's just really just a mess out there. What we're hearing here, everyone's excited about Roy Cooper, Wiley Nickel running for DA, and North Carolina's in play. And I've been a couple Congress leaders, Ro Khanna and Raja Krishnamurthy, and the Samosa Caucus, Subhas Subramaniam, and they're all kind of talking about the off-year elections and primaries and what's going to happen. But it's a really divided time in the country. I think one day our children and grandchildren will look back at this time. Maybe there'll be a time America comes back together again. and they'll look at this as what we look at the 1960s. I think this is what these children are seeing. So giving my daughter a lot to report at the New York Times about. But anyway, that's all I got for today. Sorry for being late.
No problem.
And,
Well,
I'll be in touch with you. I'll
we
shoot
get
you a
World
text.
Politics at 5 o'clock and everything like that, and
Yep.
other shows on the network as well on this particular Thursday, including Coco McMillan, who's got interviews with singers and others that'll be there. I think she's got a singer and maybe a minister as well, and some others. But I got to look at her notes. But she's definitely always got amazing guests. But right now we're going to get out of here. Hopefully, I'll see all of us folks at 5 o'clock right before Coco and everything like that. So right now, let's get on out of here.